This is a debrief of task 3 of the first sample assessment for internal accounting systems and controls. So we're told that having recently completed your studies, you know that you have an extensive knowledge of internal controls and benefits of a robust system. Having reviewed the current system, you have been asked a number of questions by Mark Tyson, the General Accounts Clerk and Cashier. He wants to check that he fully understands what internal controls are and how they work. He's asked you to check that the internal controls he's suggesting are suitable for the purpose that he has identified. So the key thing we need to look at here is that we've got these controls, and they're all controls, they're good, but we need to verify whether or not they suit the purpose intended. That's what this question is testing. And then we just need to decide either yes or no, is the control suitable for the purpose? So the first control then, we're going to divide accounting responsibilities so that the same person does not authorise and pay an invoice. So that would be an example of segregation of duties, because if one person is responsible for an entire process, then they may perform that task without anybody else getting involved in it, and therefore any mistakes or fraud that they commit won't be identified. So segregation of duties is there really to prevent and detect fraud. It's not really for a compliance purpose, in compliance with legal requirements or regulations. So yeah, in this case, this control is a good control, but it is not suitable for the purpose of compliance. The second one, all inventory must be kept in a warehouse with a key code on the door. The key code is changed every 6 months or if a member of staff leaves. So that's a good control, and what we're trying to ensure is that any items in the warehouse are not stolen. So the purpose is to safeguard assets, and yes, this would contribute towards protecting the assets in the warehouse. So yes, that control is suitable to help achieve the safeguarding of assets. Next, we want to complete regular cash and bank reconciliations. Remember, what we're doing with a reconciliation is that we have the same information but from 2 different sources. So with our bank reconciliation, we have data on the bank statement and we have data in our accounting system. And if they agree with each other, that would suggest that our accounting system is accurate. But if they don't agree, then we want to investigate the differences to find out if there are any mistakes in the accounting system. And this is helping to ensure that the number in the accounts is correct. So the purpose that the cashier suggested, this is to ensure quality internal and external reporting. Well, yes, we want to make sure that the number in the accounting system is accurate, and by reconciling with the bank statement, it's going to help us to do that. So this does fulfill the purpose. And finally, we want to complete monthly backups of data to an off-site server. So this is going to help us to protect the integrity of the data that we have. So if there's any problems, we can go to the backup and restore the data. Now, the intended purpose is to prevent and detect fraud. Well, no, that's not going to be achieved here. We would want someone to be investigating the data to try and prevent fraud. Simply storing it somewhere else does not prevent or detect that fraud. So it's a good control, but it's not valid for this particular purpose. And then in part B of the question, as an organisation that supplies low energy lighting equipment and supplies, Annabelle Limited is keen to develop and maintain a reputation for ethical behaviour. Following a review of the finance department, it has been identified that some of the systems in place do not promote ethical behaviours. So we've been presented with the following improvements to the system to address this, and we need to identify which of them would promote ethical behaviours within an organisation. So the first one, introducing car parking spaces that are for staff who participate in a company car share scheme. So having a car share scheme is good, isn't it? Because if we're sharing a car rather than all of us individually driving our cars, it means that we're going to be using fewer fossil fuels, we'll be using less energy, and that's sustainable behaviour, and that's part of being ethical. So yes, that sustainable behaviour would promote ethical behaviour. Then following the next point is introducing a policy that all staff need to share their passwords with the departmental manager to ensure that all data can be accessed at all times. Well, that's not appropriate, is it? If we're sharing passwords, it means that unauthorised access may be given to systems, and that's not good. it may mean that the department manager could log in as somebody else and manipulate the data, and that would be dishonest and lack integrity. So that would not promote ethical behavior. People should not share passwords. Next then, ensure that all new starters sign a confidentiality agreement. So this is perhaps could go either way here. It depends why we want to have that confidentiality agreement. If we want to suppress honesty and suppress whistleblowing, then that confidentiality agreement would be unethical. But if we just want to make sure that our employees maintain confidentiality and don't talk about our customers and don't talk about our company secrets, then that would promote ethical behavior. So in general, confidentiality agreements are a good thing. And as AAT members, we are required to maintain confidentiality. So despite there being a possibility that non-disclosure agreements would not necessarily be ethical, in this case, confidentiality is one of our fundamental principles. So we should say it would promote ethical behavior here. Next, then, we want to maintain annual CPD records and review as part of an annual appraisal process. Well, remember, one of our fundamental ethical principles is that of professional competence and due care. So you're doing some assessments now to demonstrate your competence, but the world changes. There are new ideas and new concepts all the time, and therefore we need to keep up to date with our technical knowledge, don't we? So having CPD, having continuous professional development, would help us to meet that professional competence ethical principle. So that would promote it. Then we want to remove the provision of company cars from employee contracts of employment to minimise tax payments. Well, removing company cars would be sustainable behaviour because we will be using fewer cars and therefore being more sustainable. So that would be ethical. But in this case, it says to minimise tax payments. And that's not ethical behaviour, because when we contribute to the government funding, that helps to pay for the health service, helps to pay for education, it pays for lots of good things. So trying to minimise tax could be considered to be unethical, and therefore it would not promote ethical behaviour. And finally, we want to ensure that all new starters are given a copy of the disciplinary process as part of their induction. So that is a good thing, because we can identify to everybody, this is what we consider to be good behaviour and this is bad behaviour, and we will discipline people if you perform bad behaviour. So that's going to encourage everybody to be ethical, because they know that there is a deterrent, there is a risk they could be disciplined if they are unethical.